thought that bringing us together would be a great way to see basically the dynamic of how you see life in the Pacific Northwest based on where you're from. You all coming from the South, I'm also from the South, and then of course you all are from the Pacific Northwest. So let's start with, I guess, the transplants. What was your initial thoughts when you arrived here in Seattle?
Arriving here, you see the area, it's beautiful, but then you don't see a lot of us, so it was something that was very glaringly obvious to us that there wasn't as many of us as we're used to seeing around.
I think it took a while to get used to it. So again, moving from the South and like seeing us all day, every day, having to kind of shift our expectations and just shift our norm.
What do you feel when you hear Derrick and Tanise's experience?
I always feel for transplants who are coming to Seattle looking for certain experiences when it comes to, Black culture, and I always feel bad. I'm like, oh, what can we do to like make you stay? Don't leave. We need the numbers. And so I feel bad, but also it's unique for me when I've been to Baltimore, places like that, and gone through the grocery stores, and I only see Black people for aisles and aisles, like the cash register, the customer. I didn't realize how surprised I would be. I didn't realize how white this space is here in Seattle. But there's so much beauty here in other ways, right? Yeah, and the community that is here is strong. And so that's why we're small but mighty.
I would agree. I had the privilege of living in Alabama and going to a HBCU, and my family originates from the Carolinas. But I think the diversity that we have out here gives us the opportunity to be able to move in a lot of different rooms that a lot of people can't move in being Black because of seeing things differently. I could have stayed in the South and enjoyed what we have out there, but I think for people that don't have that opportunity, it's for us to bring it back to them and create that here. So, but I do miss the Carolinas, we don't have any Waffle Houses out here or any Checkers or anything, so those are places that I miss near and dear,
Ooh,
so.
My heart tingled when you said Waffle House.
Yeah, late night eats.
I will say, since moving out here, I feel like I've been very intentional about being Black, and it's confusing of what I'm saying, but I've never been in a situation where I haven't seen a lot of people who look like me. So I feel like now, I feel like a lot of people here are intentional about making those spaces. So why do you all think the Black community, even though it's small, I feel like it's very strong? A lot of people come together. And
it's not so much like that in other places I live, like East Coast and down South. I think because we kind of take it for granted, take for granted who we are and that we're showing up somewhere, and there's so many more of us, there's so many more spaces like what we have, and it's kind of part of the norm. Here we have to represent who we are, and we have to show, we're proud of this, and we're going to be unapologetic about it.
Growing up here, how often were you the only Black person or person of color in your schools, workplaces, clubs, different things like that?
I mean, often. I went to private schools, middle school through high school, so I was usually the token to some degree, and I got comfortable with that. When I learned how to leverage that, I'm already catching people's eye, might as well show myself and like take advantage of that attention to advance my network or whatever it is.
I'm growing up in a Black church, having a big family that originates from the South. I always was inserted in a element or space that was already created for us in some capacity, to where I didn't have to try to find myself in other spaces.
I will say, as a person moving from the South, I feel like Western Washington, Seattle specifically, it's an area where you can have these conversations and people are receptive. People want to learn how to celebrate other cultures. So that's the cool thing about it. So when you think about that, what's something that you need from allies, or something that you feel like you've received from allies here that you wouldn't necessarily get anywhere else?
Something that I get a lot of here, it's something that we just need to keep continuing here, is just listening. Sometimes the listening in those spaces is very powerful.
It's listening, but then acting on what you've learned once you have the opportunity. It's taking the time to listen, intricately thinking about those lessons, and when you have the opportunity to use it to be a voice for someone else in the Black community or to open up the door for someone else in the Black community, use the opportunity to do so.
Also, just believing us when we say something isn't right. Because someone who's not from this experience will never understand.
We have to make sure that if we are Black people doing stuff for Black people, that Black people are supporting that just as much as our so-called allies. It's not necessarily their job to do that. It's our job as a community to support our community just like others do. So I think it's very important that we make sure we help ourselves, and then if we set an example, then people will follow suit.
One thing that's really cool about everyone here, you all have some type of platform where you are elevating Black voices and bringing people together. Why is that important for you? And I'll start with you, Sydney.
As you know, I started X's and Babies, a co-parenting business to support co-parents and blended families. And especially for baby mamas and baby daddies, it was really important for me to bring on voices of people who are less sought out when it comes to talking about co-parenting, the voices that aren't heard but are definitely judged around being single and raising kids. I was very passionate. I am a co-parent myself, so I was very passionate about highlighting voices, not just Black, but like people of different, BIPOC community, right? People with different sexual orientations, things like that. And so it's really important for me to bring that forward, those voices, talking about how they're trying to make their co-parenting work so that we can see ourselves in these folks and see that it's possible.
I run a clothing store downtown Tacoma, Black owned. We've been open for 8 years, and then also I curate events for the community outside of the shop, either revolving around food or any other type of art or entertainment for the most part. So for me, I just think it's important to see us doing something. We're already a small percentage. I think I looked at a number the other day and we're less than 5% in terms of Black people. You cut that number in half. Half of us are doing good, half of us are doing bad just based off of what life, the cards that it deals you. And then the half that is doing good, how many do we get to see like an example of that? They might have a job that's behind a cubicle or something that you won't have full access to see. So I think being in the space that we are in, we just give people the visual and the accessibility to see that it can be done. Because there's a lot of people that are doing great things, but you might not have access to their business or to their job to see them on a regular basis.
For Derrick and Tanise, I know you all started Sync Seattle. What was it, moving here, not knowing anybody and not knowing where to go? What prompted you to say, okay, we need to do this, we need to bring people together?
So I think it's a myriad of things. Moving from Charlotte, we, as a couple, I think we always have had a God-given gift of just bringing people together. So we would host like kickbacks at our house, but at the same time, we're also rooted in philanthropy. So we actually met volunteering. And so that's always been a staple of our relationship. So even if it's like a game night, we're like, bring a pair of t-shirts or whatever for a local nonprofit. So that's kind of like who we are as a couple in Charlotte. So then moving here, not knowing anybody moving here, but then also really wanting to get entrenched into the Black-led nonprofit space. And then coupling that with our desire to be social, like we're very social. And so that myriad of happenings kind of came together. And we're like, we have a unique opportunity to highlight Black-led nonprofits, which are often, if not always, overlooked and underfunded. We have an opportunity to help other people meet people in a natural way while just vibing out and having a blast. So I think we were kind of, in a sense, we had already known before we moved to Seattle that we always wanted to do something formal with our gift, with our God-given gift.
I know we were talking about the Black culture here and why we think it's so strong. What's one of the things that you love just about Black culture in general?
The Black culture and Black experience is diverse, but there are things that we just really easily identify, and we just kind of have that, And it's hard to explain, but that's kind of one of the best examples I can give of it.
I think for me, it's our creativity and our voice. Kind of going off what you said, just whether it be music or art, we just bring this special sauce to everything that we do. And sometimes without trying. And so I think it's just this unique creativity that we bring to the world. Like, we have a stamp on this world.
The vastness, and there are some commonalities regardless of where you are in the world, but I love the differences, the languages we speak, the different art we create. It's so beautiful, and I love that you can't really put us in a box. You know, we are dynamic.
I would say the history. I think we just have a really rich history. That's why it's very important to make sure that it's not erased, and very important to make sure that it's told the proper and right way, just so people know that they have the ability to create history on their own.
You know, we live in just a beautiful part of the country. I mean, I can't think of a place where you get to see so many different mountains. You have the water. What's your favorite thing about living in Western Washington?
From that, the peace and tranquility, it's just a different vibe. And this is gonna be like cliche, but Mount Rainier is my friend. Like, every time Mount Rainier comes out, I just feel a type of way.
Yeah, I love that you brought up Mount Rainier, because that's where I want my cremation spread. I don't know if that's allowed, but I love Mount Rainier as well. But yeah, just tap water. People will come and feel like they need to get a filter. I'm like, no, just drink tap water, it's good. Things like that. Also, I just feel like there's a pioneer, it's just a different energy out here in Seattle. And how people move about their lives and take initiative, like you all creating Sync Seattle, and you creating the businesses you've created. I just love that pioneer energy here.